Ancient Japan's secret: instantly transform your garden soil with biochar. Long before synthetic fertilizers, bottled soil conditioners, or laboratory-tested amendments existed, Japanese farmers were quietly creating soil so fertile it remained productive for centuries. Some of these fields are still rich today, not because of constant inputs, but because of a deep understanding of how soil memory works. At the center of this knowledge is biochar, charred organic matter used not as fertilizer but as a permanent soil scaffold. This is not a trend, and it is not new. It is an ancient system rediscovered. Biochar does not feed plants directly. Instead, it changes the behavior of soil. Once you understand that distinction, everything else falls into place. Why ancient Japanese soils still outperform modern ones. Traditional Japanese farming relied on long-term soil building rather than short-term yield spikes. Farmers understood that healthy soil had to breathe, hold water, and host life. Biochar was produced from rice husks, bamboo, wood scraps, and pruned branches, then incorporated into fields and garden beds. What made this material special was not its nutrient content, but its structure. When organic material is burned in low oxygen, it becomes porous carbon, filled with these tiny microscopic tunnels. These pores do not collapse. They remain intact for hundreds, even thousands of years. Modern research has confirmed what those farmers already knew. Biochar increases cation exchange capacity, improves water retention, and provides permanent housing for beneficial microbes. But ancient growers never needed the terminology. They simply observed that soil amended once stayed fertile for generations. So, biochar is not compost, and honestly, that's exactly why it works the way it does. One of the biggest mistakes gardeners make is, well, treating biochar just like compost. Compost, as we know, breaks down over time. But biochar, it simply does not. Compost is food. Biochar, on the other hand, is infrastructure. You might want to think of compost as your groceries and biochar as the pantry that stores them. Without the pantry, food, well, it spoils quickly. But with it, nutrients are stored, protected, and released slowly over time. Raw soil just leaks nutrients. Water can wash them downward or even away. Biochar interrupts that loss, helping to keep those nutrients right where your plants need them. So biochar has these negatively charged surfaces that bind minerals like calcium, potassium, magnesium, and ammonium, and when plant roots or microbes need them, they're actually released back into the soil solution. This, in fact, is why ancient fields amended with biochar stayed productive even when, external inputs were really minimal. Now here's the critical mistake that ruins biochar for beginners. Fresh biochar is, well, empty. If you put it straight into the soil, it'll actually steal nutrients before it helps. Ancient farmers understood this intuitively. They never applied biochar alone. It was always pre-charged with organic matter. Charging biochar simply means filling those microscopic pores with nutrients and microbes before it enters your soil. A practical ratio that works consistently is 1 part crushed biochar to 1 part finished compost. Mix thoroughly and moisten until damp, not wet. Let this sit for 2 to 4 weeks. During this time, microbes colonize the char and nutrients bind to its surfaces. Once charged, biochar becomes a slow-release engine instead of a nutrient sponge. So how do you make garden-scale biochar safely? Well, you do not need a kiln or expensive equipment. Biochar can be made with basic materials, but, safety and airflow control really do matter. So, dry woody material works best for making biochar. Small branches, bamboo, corn cobs, nutshells, and hardwood scraps, they all produce a stable char that's really effective. It's important to avoid treated wood or anything that's been painted. These materials just aren't suitable for biochar. You need to burn the material in a metal container with limited oxygen. The goal here is charring, not complete combustion. When the material turns black and brittle, but still holds its shape, that's the time to extinguish it, either with water or by covering it with soil to cut off the oxygen. Once cooled, crush the char until most pieces are smaller than a fingernail. Finer particles provide more surface area but should still feel gritty, not dusty. Where biochar works best in the garden, biochar shines in soils that struggle with extremes. In sandy soils, it acts like a sponge, holding water and nutrients that would otherwise disappear. In clay soils, it creates channels that improve drainage and root penetration. In compacted or tired beds, it reintroduces biological activity and long-term structure. A practical application rate is 5 to 10% of soil volume in the top 6 to 8 inches. For raised beds, this often translates to 1 to 2 buckets of charged biochar per bed mixed evenly. Once applied, biochar does not need to be reapplied every year. With just one proper application, you can influence your soil's performance for decades. It's really quite remarkable how long-lasting these benefits can be. Now, you might be wondering why plants respond faster than expected. Although biochar is considered a long-term amendment, gardeners often notice changes pretty quickly. It's a pleasant surprise, honestly. Improved moisture balance means less stress for your plants. This simple shift can make a world of difference for your garden, helping your plants thrive. Root systems expand more easily through structured soil. Microbial populations stabilize, leading to better nutrient cycling. The result is not explosive top growth, but steady, resilient plants that tolerate drought, heat, and irregular feeding better than before. Now, this kind of stability, well, it's really what ancient farmers valued most. Biochar serves as a microbial refuge. Soil life really suffers during periods of drought, frost, and even chemical exposure. Biochar's pores, they actually act as tiny shelters. Microbes retreat into these spaces during harsh conditions and, re-emerge when moisture and temperature improve. This buffering effect is, why biochar-amended soil rebounds faster after stress. It creates continuity in biological activity, even when surface conditions fluctuate. Here's a final lesson from ancient Japan. Biochar teaches patience. It's not a quick fix. It's really a decision to build soil that outlives you. Ancient Japanese farmers, were not chasing instant results. They were investing in permanence. Their success came from understanding that the most powerful soil amendments are, honestly, the ones that do not disappear. When you add properly charged biochar to your garden, you are not just feeding plants for a season. You are installing a foundation that quietly supports everything that grows there from now on.